Welcome back. It's been a while, and basically I've been extremely busy turning my racing hobby into a business. Apparently I can't do anything that involves spare time without having it pay me, so this is no different. But the topic for today is actually a familiar engine. I built this last year on the channel. It's a junkyard short block. It was more or less a slap together deal. Cut to the chase, this thing did like 50 quarter-mile passes, 3 different dyno days, 6 or 7 pulls each day, 10,000 mile oil changes, and all the other abuse that I like to put these things through. So as you can imagine, it's still good. It still runs. That's right, I took out a running engine. We'll get to that eventually, but the topic for today is this one, which, on the other hand, has had a much different life. 3 oil changes, 1,000 miles, a little bit less power actually, hauling around a much lighter Fox body as opposed to a 4,000 pound Ranger. And it didn't fare so well. It is blown up. For the first time on this channel, I am going to look at an engine that I didn't personally break. Not sure if I'll be able to determine what happened or why, but I'll take you guys along. We'll see what secrets are in this thing. Hopefully answer some questions as to how to prevent this sort of failure from happening to you or to me again, I guess. Yes, again, I have had a similar situation to what this guy experienced. 1,000 miles in, and it's coming back out and all apart. So I got a buyer for this block today. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to bring it to him. So today, I need to tear it all the way down, clean it up, make sure, hopefully, that it's good, and get going with it. Ah, yes, a familiar sight indeed. This is the F4 block, 94 up, 351 Windsor with that beautiful roller lifter set. This one, on the other hand, has some very nice discontinued forged pistons, which is the main reason I wanted to buy it. Actually, the real reason is the cam in there, so I hope it's the cam that it's supposed to be. But the thing turns over. Guy says he thinks it might have a bad thrust bearing. And as anybody else who's been down this road, you basically have 2 options. You either turn this thing into a stroker after it blows up, or you do what he did, which is LS swap. So he had some really good parts. I showed up at the very end and just basically bought the blown engine, the junk heads. He gave me a free LS intake over there. But yeah, you could see I didn't necessarily follow the formula. Rather than spending $9,000 on a stroker, I bought $9,000 in junkyard engines. And yeah, actually it's probably free. I think that all this stuff that I sell off it is worth more than what I paid for the stuff. I just have to deal with this mess. But that's not what we're doing today. Today, focus. This is what it is. So I'm going to start with pulling off that timing assembly and the oil pump. I was already looking at this oil pump a little bit. I'll spin this thing over so you guys can see. Very common question people ask is, what is a roller 351? It actually has to do with the camshaft and lifters. The roller tip handles high RPM much better. It doesn't have the same issues that the flat tap it did. The way that you know which block you have is to look right here. And this would be the passenger side. You're looking right under, there's the mount bosses right there. Right behind that, F4TE, that is a 94 up. Now, these are obviously not aftermarket rods. They all look straight. I don't see anything obviously wrong. If we look at the main caps, all the arrows, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all facing forward, so I have no reason to suspect the thing was misassembled, I guess. But there are some things I will look for, and I will show you guys what that is in just a moment. I'm not going to go through tearing all these pieces out. This is just nuts and bolts. But just wanted to show you it before I did. You can see that is not an original bolt holding that oil pump together, so we'll open that up and see what's going on in there. But yeah, I'm going to zip it apart, and then here in a couple seconds, I will show you exactly what happened. Alright guys, here's what you've all been waiting for. So that was about an hour of work. You can see I got this block stripped down. One of the things that I like to look for are the main cap registers, I guess you'd call it. This surface right here where the cap sits against, if the crank's walking or flexing, or I guess they call it cap walk, the main cap's not staying put, what you see is a bunch of pitting, which this one does not have. So this is the number 2 cap. I think that's where you see it the most. But looking through all of these, I don't see anything out of the ordinary there. But we have some serious destruction on this thing. This is impressive. This is actually borderline garbage, except for the pistons. The pistons and rods, all the rods except for the 2 with those caps on the end, that'd be number 4 and number 8, had spun bearings, and you can see they're actually still attached to the crank. Things got hot in here. You can see the number 1 journal. You can see that journal's got all kinds of heat in it. This one's impressive. You can see the bearing actually spun and then overlaid on top of itself. Let's see if I can pull that apart. Yeah, look at that. Just nothing but steel left. So every single rod bearing was shot. The pistons look brand new. I mean, these things don't have a lot of miles on them, but the rod bearings that came off here that weren't spun weren't far away from it either. So that sucks. That's mostly a loss on that. It does have an adjustable timing chain set, which these things are kind of cool. They got 3 keyways, so you can either install the cam timing straight up, or you can advance or retard it by rotating that on the crank. And here is the rest, the main caps. So I opened up the oil pump. I didn't really see anything. I'm not an expert in these things. I didn't see anything glaringly obvious, but the surfaces do look a little rough, in particular in this piece of it. Let's see if I can show you guys this. It doesn't look like it, but you have to take my word for it. The surfaces, yeah, you can see there, the surface is a little pitted. In fact, I don't know if that's a pit or, no, that's a pit right there. So I'm not sure if that's just from ingesting metal or if it was like that previously. I really haven't looked at these oil pumps in much detail before, but unfortunately, the number 4 main cap suffered a pretty heavy bearing load there that deformed it, and I don't know. This block is questionable at this point. I'm going to have to tell that guy at least get it line honed, checked, particularly on this number 4. Fortunately, there wasn't any of those caps walking, and this bearing wasn't spun, but I don't like this at all. Definitely don't like seeing damage on the main. If it's on the rod's a throwaway, but the main, I don't know. This block is savable, I think, but definitely going to have to check out that main and look at it really closely. The cam is in perfect condition, however, and I'm really happy about this one because for years I've been upset about selling my 302 HO, but as you can tell, I got myself an HO cam. There's the Z right there stamped into it, which signifies the HO cam. So that's going to be it for this one. I'm going to clean it up and sell that block. And then next up, we'll tear into this thing and look into that in greater detail on a later video. So we'll see how it's fared on a lot more abuse, 800 pound-feet of torque, and a bunch of runs.